Hello there. Wouldn't you want a newer Nintendo console? Oh, come on, don't be like that. Here you go. Now, isn't that much better? Yeah, what? It has only one screen, yes. But it has exclusives. It has handheld gaming with living room power. And all those and more. Yeah, what's up? Oh, no, you can't play Nintendo DS games. The Nintendo Switch. The Nintendo Switch. Look at all these games that you can play on this console. And if you want to play some of the oldies but goodies, you have all of these. But now, bear with me here. If I wanted to play, for example, a Nintendo DS or any of the other Game Boy games I own, what do I do?
Oh no!
Now, to talk about what you saw just now, we have to talk about what's already here, right? Nintendo already provides some services to play their old library as it is. But the library is so constrained and so small. For example, the only game that I actually owned in here was Wario Land 4, and that's like nothing. Where's Pokemon, for example? Every single person who had a Game Boy Advance had a Pokemon game, but none of them are here. At least not the ones that matter. And Nintendo, in its infinite wisdom, made those games actual paid games on the store. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not against retro games being put on the storefronts again. That is good for both the consumer and the company. But if you launch a product called Nintendo Classics, I expect to see the classics. Now, there's only one example in the industry that still has their sorta kinda legacy stores up, and that is the PS3 store, with some of the PSP and PS2 games still available to buy. But that has the advantage of being in an age where digital games were a thing. Back in the Game Boy Advance days, digital games weren't a thing, they were on a cartridge. Now we're going to talk about something that Nintendo hates. So Nintendo, if your entire library is on the internet, free to access to anyone who knows where to look, what excuse do you have to not be able to provide those libraries to actual paying customers? Like, if I buy a Nintendo console, right, I want to play games that are available on Nintendo consoles. Now, if Nintendo isn't gonna do it, the community will. Remember Isu, the front end that looked like Nintendo but was anything but Nintendo? And the unfortunate shutdown of the project because of reasons. But a developer has picked up the slack and brought the front end over into the Switch. Okay, disclaimer, what I'm about to show you is something that Nintendo does not like. So if you do not believe in owning your hardware and doing whatever you want with it, click off the video now. See, if the entire Nintendo Switch Classics library isn't going to fill the gaping hole in my heart, I might as well do it myself. Despite what Nintendo wants you to believe, there's a lot more to the Nintendo Switch. If you just take the time to research what you can do with this great piece of hardware, you will be blown away. Introducing Isu on Nintendo Switch. It's a great interface, and honestly, it's more Nintendo than what Nintendo is right now. The Switch sorely needs some of the fun and whimsy that Nintendo introduced back in the day, but this does a great job of filling that gap. And, you would not believe it, Nintendo lied to you. GameCube and Wii emulation is in fact possible on this little device. Here's some footage of me playing Sonic Riders with zero issues, by the way. This runs perfectly, although I need to put a disclaimer, this is with the Switch overclocked. Well, it's not something everyone is comfortable doing, and I accept that. But this alone proves that it's possible, right? They could have introduced the GameCube service to Nintendo Switch as well. As you can see, it's clearly possible. But no, that's why my hardware, my rules. The entire legacy that Nintendo bars me from playing, I can with this. GameCube emulation aside, what about older consoles and older GBA games I want to play? Good news, you can play those too, and they also run without issues. Now you can play the entire GBA library without being limited to Nintendo's weird catalog choices. I just don't get why Nintendo can't provide the entire GBA library as a storefront that we can spend money on. They're just sitting on a gold mine here. I would have gladly bought Sonic Advance 1, 2, and 3 all over again if they gave me the chance to do so. But Sin, you've gone through this entire video without speaking about the Nintendo DS even once. Wasn't that the entire point about this video? I'm glad you asked. Introducing Nintendo DS on the Nintendo Switch. Now, herein lies a little problem, right? the Nintendo Switch is meant to be played vertically. A 3D printer quickly fixes that, and you're off to the races playing Nintendo DS as it was intended. This is again a proof of concept that proves to me that Nintendo could have released a peripheral for Nintendo Switch Online and a Nintendo DS service to capitalize on this and just bring back the Nintendo DS library to this device. I have some hope for the Nintendo Switch 2 because there were some rumors floating around that suggested that Nintendo Switch 2 was going to receive a second screen add-on, which would make it even better and allow them to give us the Nintendo 3DS library as well. Just have to wait and see though. But of course, these are all unofficial methods to playing the games that Nintendo won't give us. So unless you have a console that's compatible with doing these stuff, I won't tell you how to do them, of course, you won't get to experience these. But in case that you do, this is a great way to revisit the old classics, and, well, if you haven't grown up in those ages, it's a great way to learn what gaming used to be and play the old classics. I highly recommend everyone to take a shot at these classics on the original hardware, of course, on the original hardware, of course, and just have fun. But yes, I hope you enjoyed the video, and let me know in the comments if you like what Nintendo is doing with their classic library, or if you would like to see more from them, which I think you should want to see more from them. Anyways, this is SC Sin, signing off. Thanks for watching.